Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Everyday Athlete podcast show. Are we calling it a podcast or a show?
I think it's a show and a podcast.
It's a show and a podcast. Okay, we're super excited to have you here. My name is Isra Ishaq, and I have Kendra with me, who's an amazing athlete. We are super excited to start this with you guys to benefit everybody, right? Benefit the ummah, benefit the women. Essentially, it's such an important podcast, and we feel very, very excited to be here. We're going to talk about why we're doing this maybe in later episodes, but let's start with this first one because I think it's going to shock you. How much is it going to shock them, Kiandra?
Very, very much so. And it shocked us where we actually had to re-record this entire
We
episode.
we had because again, and we're going to talk to you about all of that because this just goes to show you how important it is to stay in line with the evidence because there are certain things that we used to believe and the evidence supported that it wasn't our opinion, but then the evidence changed, and as much as we're studying, we weren't as aware of this new evidence, right? So again, it just highlights the importance of always stay on top of your learning because the learning never stops, right?
Never stops, inshallah.
All right, so today's episode is very much about the shocking misconceptions that you didn't know about. Clearly, it's misconceptions that we didn't know about either.
That we all don't know about.
Then we started to kind of research, and this first one is really, really surprising. And it's where a lot of women, right, a lot of busy women can get stuck on, and this idea of everyone should do 10K steps a day. The question is this actually based on the evidence? And when you look at the evidence, actually, it's not. The whole idea of the 10K steps, it actually started in 1965 as a marketing strategy for a company that created pedometers, so step counters, right? And they just came, hey, okay, we're going to start counting to 10K because I guess it sounded like a nice round number. And also, Japanese people walk a lot. So it started in walking clubs. And then somehow the industry took it and said, hey, yeah, if you want to be healthy and fit, you have to walk at least 10K steps. And for me, that is really harmful and discouraging because number one, not everybody has the time or capacity to walk 10K steps. Number two, you have people who, if they did walk 10K steps, they could actually hurt themselves. If someone has a chronic illness or a bad knee or a bad ankle, right? Forcing them, making them think that they have to walk 10K steps, that could hurt them. The third thing is that you have people who have jobs that are demanding in terms of the intensity. So think about people who do manual work, builders and stuff like that, right? Or people who train really hard 7 days a week, spend hours at the gym. Do they need to be doing 10K steps? Do you know what I mean? And on the other hand, if we look at the guidelines of activity level, right? So let's look at the science a little bit. If we look at the guidelines of activity level, the recommendation is this: either 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise a week, so think about brisk walking, or 75 to 150 minutes of intense exercise a week. So if we use the first one, 150 to 300 minutes of brisk walking a week, you know how many steps that is? So
Not a
that
lot.
if you split that by 7 days, that's about 20 minutes a day. That's about 2,000 to 4,000 steps a day. That is the recommendation. So you can literally be healthy and fit by just walking 2,000 to 4,000 steps a day. However, of course, if you're someone who wants to lose a lot of weight, you can, of course, increase that number to 10,000. Like I'm sure, Kendra, you do like 100,000 steps a day
Well,
with
I
your training,
definitely average
right?
over 10,000 steps a day. So, and this is one of those
Yeah.
things too, you sort of like, I just because I do over 10,000 steps a day is not why I'm going to tell you to go do 10,000 steps a day because our lifestyles are different.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an athlete. I need to do certain things. Like it's different. Like what I need to do, it's literally my job, right? It's literally my job to be at a very high level of physical fitness. So, this is where these kind of like cookie cutter approaches just don't work, especially for busy women. Now, again, I think we also have to be intentional with the reason why we're doing certain things. Like just like you spoke about before, if you're looking to lose weight, then yes, increasing your step count is good. And maybe for you, yes, it is to do over 10,000 steps a day. And some of my clients, their goal steps are 10,000, but some are 5, some are 7. Not every this generic cookie cutter method of saying everyone needs to do this in order to be healthy. Like, first of all, what does healthy mean?
Yeah.
Who and in what circumstances and in what period of your life. Right now, again, for a lot of the clients, and again, it's not to say to not be wanting to be more active either, and saying just a 2 to 4 thousand is okay, but it's also seeing, okay, how can I use this in my everyday life to
Yeah.
improve my other areas of life. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. If you are a busy woman, okay, and if you are working, say you have a business, okay, and you're at your computer for 10 hours a day, maybe you're really grinding it out, 10 hours a day, you're at your computer and you're sitting. Well, it might be a good idea, and you have no other, time to really go and work out or anything like that. It might be a good idea for you to get a walking pad and to,
Yeah.
to be able to walk while you're working. And now I'm not saying go and do 20. I've seen people on Instagram do 20, 30, 40,000 steps a day. I'm not telling you to go and do that, but maybe some 30-minute bursts here and there while you're working. And it
Yeah.
does, it does help you stay focused. It does help you um, work better and get a lot more done. But this isn't, and again, it's the purpose of why we're doing it. It's not because I'm saying this is what I need to do in order to be healthy, but it's
Yeah.
something I need to do because maybe it's going to help you with your business. It's going to help you with your
Yeah.
output. It's going to help you, with show up better in other areas of your life as well.
Yeah. And also, what I think is important as well is people get so hung up on I have to hit X steps a day. And when that doesn't happen, it discourages them. What may be even better is to look at the weekly steps because some days you're going to be more active, some days you're going to be less active. So aim for, okay, what weekly average do I want?
Mhm.
Right. And you can then play around with the days. On the days where you don't have a lot of work to do, you probably walk a lot more compared to the days when you have to sit at your desk for long periods of time. It's the idea of being adaptable. What Kendra and I are saying, please don't misunderstand us. We're not saying that step count is not important. It is.
Right. Of
Movement
course
is
it is.
important. What we are saying is it needs to adapt to your life, what your life looks like, what your conditions are, what your goals are, and what your capacity is. And your capacity is going to look different every single day. And you have to be flexible with that as opposed to going, oh, you know what? I can't do 10 steps. Khalas, I'm not doing this anymore. Because that's what happens. If being healthy, again, I talk about this a lot. If being healthy feels like a mountain to climb, you're not going to do it. If it feels hard, you're not going to do it. If it feels like you have to change everything about your life to be healthy and fit, you're human, you're not going to do it. As simple as that. Right?
Exactly. Inshallah. So setting realistic goals, realistic standards for yourself, while still pushing yourself, while still, pushing yourself to be better. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to be mediocre. And if you're watching this, it's because you don't want to be mediocre either. You're looking to better yourself. So we don't want to just be like everyone else either. But we have to understand that if you are only walking 2,000 steps a day, telling yourself I'm going to walk 15,000 every single day is not realistic.
No,
It's hard.
no, absolutely not. Okay, amazing. Right. You ready to take the second one?
So the second one is it's not even like a misconception. It's not even like, oh, it's a little bit true in certain circumstances. It's just straight up wrong. It's
And
just
for
straight up
me,
wrong.
this felt like a personal attack. Like, it's
Honestly,
a personal attack.
it is that potatoes are bad for weight loss or for fat loss. Now, this legitimately could not be further from the truth. Okay. It is the complete opposite. In fact, whenever I know myself, whenever I'm in a fat loss stage, I eat the most potatoes.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that potatoes are actually the most satiating food, meaning for the least amount of calories, you're going to be able to eat the bigger amount of volume, meaning you're going to feel more full. And on when you're by definition in a calorie deficit, meaning you're in a deficit of energy, you want to feel full. You don't want to be going through your day with your stomach growling and feeling like you're not satisfied. You want to feel satisfied to make the calorie deficit as doable as possible. Obviously, feeling a little bit of hunger, I call it more like an emptiness kind of feeling, is normal, but
Yeah, also,
extravagant enough is
not
not.
to cut you off, is why are people so scared of hunger? It's like in Ramadan, we fast like 18 hours a day and we are fine. Subhanallah. And then on the non-fasting days, you haven't eaten in a couple of hours and oh my God, no. But again, it goes back behind the reason why, right? But carry on with your point.
No, and I love that you spoke about that because that's so true. And you know what? That could be a whole other episode. Like, why
Yeah.
are we scared of hunger? Subhanallah. But yes, in fact, potatoes, white potatoes specifically, are just so demonized. And people
Yeah.
are like, no, don't eat that. It's gonna make you fat. Which,
Yeah.
side note, there's no one food that makes you fat, whether that is a cheesecake or a salad. There's no one food that's gonna make you fat or one food that's gonna make you skinny, if you will. Inshallah. So yeah, what are your thoughts about this?
There's what was interesting to me is there's a study. It's just a case study and a small study. There's a guy who was let me see what he was because it was really interesting. He was the executive director of Washington State Potato Commission. So he woke up one morning. He goes, you know what? Screw it. I am done with potatoes getting a bad rap. So he decided to go on 60 days just eating potatoes. He ate 20 potatoes a day and not just boiled potatoes. He had it mashed, he had it fried, he had all the different ways, right? And here's the thing by the end of the 60 days, he lost almost 30 pounds,
Phew.
right?
Wow.
And what this shows us that potato is not the problem. No food item in isolation is the problem. The
Mhm.
problem is how much you consume it. And that's going to apply to everything. The dosage, the population, it matters. But what we do is we single out a food item that has a hype on social media, like seed oils, right? This is going to kill you. Ya salam. Do you know how many people would have died from seed oils by now if that could really kill you? It was toxic in your body. Do you know what I mean? So potatoes aren't the problem. Is how much we consume them. And because he was in a deficit, even though he ate 20 of them a day, he was still in a deficit. And by the end of the 2 months, he lost almost 30 pounds. So what does that mean? It means number one, you have unconditional permission to eat anything you want, just not everything, because
Right.
you need to have some level of restraint. No restriction, restraint. There's a difference between the two,
Big thing.
right? Restriction is when you cut everything out. Restraint is cool. I'm gonna have my cake, but how much do I wanna have it? I'm gonna have my potatoes, but I'm gonna build restraint with regards to how much I'm gonna have it, right?
No, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And people are probably looking at us like, okay, well, guys, like I know there's so many different kinds of potatoes, right? If I have a boiled potato, it's probably going to be quote unquote better for me than if I
Yeah,
had some fries from fast food.
yeah.
And this is what we need to also understand, right? So a bit of from the educational perspective as well is that it's not necessarily how you're eating certain food, but it's the process in which you make it. Okay. And I'll explain what I mean by that. If you are deep frying potatoes, you are not just consuming the potatoes that are cut up. You're also consuming the oil that has gone into the potatoes, that is what's making it crispy and all of these things. So it's not just the potato that you're eating, it's also the oil. And oil is extremely, extremely calorically dense. So there's a lot of calories for just a small amount. So what your boiled potato would have been maybe 150 calories. Now you've added in about 5 tablespoons of oil
Now
and
it's like a
you're
thousand.
already at like 700. Yeah, you're at like 700, 600 calories. Whereas what I do, and by the way, do this all the time. It's been
Yeah.
my hyperfixation for the past couple of weeks, is I cut up potatoes into fries, put them in the air fryer, and then spray a little bit of spring
Oh,
oil and put on some salt and some
yeah.
garlic powder. It is the best thing with my home. I made like this like homemade like tzatziki. The
Oh,
best thing. It's
yeah.
so good. And it doesn't add as many calories as it would if I would deep fry it. And it still tastes relatively the same. So this is some things that, we need to understand as well when it comes to demonizing certain foods. Is maybe we should be demonizing the way that we are cooking,
Cooking. Yeah. Yeah.
but not the actual ingredient itself,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
potatoes.
And again, which when you talk about secret calories, the oils, right? 1 gram of fat is 9 calories compared to 1 gram of carbohydrate or protein, which is 4. And people think, it's just a tablespoon of oil. Yeah, a tablespoon of oil is just over 100 calories, right? If you're frying an egg and adding a tablespoon of oil, you're consuming more calories from the oil versus the egg itself.
Exactly.
Do you know
No,
what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah, so just be mindful and sometimes, Kianda, with my clients, sometimes it's they're not changing the foods they're consuming. They're just changing slightly how they cook them. That's it,
Mhm.
right? And the small tweaks that you can make in your cooking can highly impact how many calories you're consuming at the end of the day.
100%. And you really think of this client that I had, literally the only change we made
Yeah.
was to dramatically reduce the oil that she was using in her cooking.
Okay.
Only change. She lost 4 kilos in just over 5 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, subhanallah, right? And if you think about it, people demonize curries. Curries are literally, as far as I'm concerned, one of the healthiest foods that you can have.
Yes.
What's in a curry? Tomatoes, herbs, and all the delicious stuff. But then we add a little of oil in it.
Gloop, 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 gloop.
What if you could make the curry but reduce the amount of oil that you like? Do you know what I mean? So again, we're going back to the same point that you made, Kendra, is it's the cooking methods that are problematic, right?
100%. And I know that we could talk about this forever. And I don't want to bore people while we're talking about this stuff. I told you before too, I was like, we have to make sure that we keep going. Because you know what, guys, whoever is listening, Yusra and I could talk for hours.
And we talk every day, and this
We
is how
talk
much we talk on a podcast. It's like,
and we talk every day and we still have stuff to talk about.
oh
Alhamdulillah.
my
So take
goodness.
us off with this next one because I know this one is very dear to your heart and drives
Oh,
you a bit
and
crazy.
I see this every time Ramadan is close by. This one keeps coming up. It's like, and you're going to hear this a lot. You can't lose weight if you have insulin resistance. And again, for me, when people talk about this, it just tells me that they don't understand the physiology or the mechanism behind insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, number one, it does not cause you to gain weight. Number two, it does not stop you from losing weight, body fat specifically. I mean, one of the recommendations for people who have insulin resistance, you know what it is, Kendra?
I don't know. Tell me.
Lose weight, right? So if the
Exactly.
science is telling us if you have insulin resistance to improve your insulin sensitivity, lose weight, then why are we telling people that you can't lose weight if you have insulin? It doesn't work. And we know there's like studies. When I say studies, I don't mean your Google Google sort of a published whatever article, right? Randomized control trials. It took people with insulin resistance who are trying to lose weight. It took another group of people, and this is not just one study, so many of them. It takes another group of people who don't have insulin resistance, and guess what? Both groups lost the same amount of weight,
Yeah.
right? So be mindful what you hear on social media when people try to say it's like, yeah, you have insulin resistance, you can't lose weight, but my program is going to help with that. Well, how's your program going to help me lose weight if I have insulin resistance and if I can't lose weight with insulin resistance in the first place? Like,
Yeah, no, that kind of information drives me absolutely crazy because, and that kind of like advertising too. Like, first of all, there's very little integrity with it because you're creating a problem that doesn't even actually is not
yeah,
even true. It's not even
yeah,
there. And suddenly, your program is the only program. that can heal this specific problem that you have created in the first place. It's absolutely ludicrous to me. It's absolutely crazy because, this is what frustrates people. And this is
Yeah.
why people throw in the towel with their fitness journey because they're so frustrated with the amount of differences of opinion, different saying one person's telling you vegetables are bad, one person's telling you don't eat eggs, one person's telling you cholesterol is going to kill you, someone's telling you don't eat potatoes. Now, what can I eat? Air and water? Oh,
Air.
drink too much water
Don't
because
drink too much water, it's gonna kill you.
yes, don't drink too much water. Oh, okay, well, I won't. I'll drink bubbly water. Oh my gosh, no, the bubbles are going to kill you and all of this nonsense, right? So it's like, and then you're going to say, okay, I'm not going to eat. Someone's going to tell you fasting is bad for you. So it's kind of,
Oh,
you
subhanallah.
can never win. So
Yeah.
this kind of like marketing again, and this kind of just like rhetoric in general, makes me want to pull my hair out because it is frustrating people and keeps people stuck and keeps them thinking that there's something inherently wrong with them. And I think that this is a big thing in the fitness industry as well, because for the most part, like, after there's been some education, like people know what needs to be done,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they're struggling from a mindset perspective. And
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to put the blame on something else that is completely out of your control than to say, okay, I have a problem with food, or I have issues with consistency, or I have issues with motivation, or whatever that is. And they want to find a scapegoat. And whenever
That's
people,
my hormones, Kiandra. You know,
yes,
all
their
that
hormones are not
cortisol running
balanced.
in my system. Like, this is why, right?
Or you need a detox
And
because,
I need to detox
yes,
because my kidneys and liver forgot how to do their job,
yes, they don't
right?
know how to do their job. They don't work anymore. So, yeah, we need a detox because that's what people would do at the time of the Prophet ﷺ
And
1400 years ago.
unfortunately, that's what sells. Do you know what I mean? When you tell someone, you know what, sleep well, you know, sleep is one of the most important strategies that you can kind of action if
Oh
you
my
want to
God.
lose weight. But how many people actually talk about it? So when I tell someone, okay, focus on your sleep, focus on your protein, eat your vegetables, you can have your cakes and cookies in moderation. We can plan around that. Do you know what I mean? Resistance train, that is important. Keep your movement up. That is not sexy advice, Kendra. Like, where is the magic? Like, give me the one thing that I need to do. So
It's,
when
yeah,
you tell someone you have to detox to lose weight, great. It should work because it's hard. So it means this is what's going to work, right? Somehow as humans, we are always looking for the magical solution. There isn't one. Like, you know what I mean? The basics work for a reason. If you look at people who are consistently healthy, right? Maintaining their weight, sleeping well, good amount of lean mass on them. Alhamdulillah,
Mhm.
by the will of Allah, they're healthy. If you look at their behaviors, they stick to the basics. Literally, they don't do anything fancy.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny too, when you said that, it made me think some of my teammates and I, we organized like a group hangout. We're gonna go do some like bowling and like laser tagging and stuff like this. And we were doing it on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And one of my teammates texted in the group chat, hey, okay, that sounds good, but I need to be in bed by 10:30.
Uh,
And it's something that's so
yeah.
normal. We're like, okay, yeah, me too. Like I can't be in bed too late. And all of us are thinking that, but subhanAllah, like it just shows like the difference that one, it's completely acceptable to have those boundaries. Like, no, I'm someone that goes to bed early. I'm not going to stay out until 1, 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
not because I have work the next day, not because I have this the next day, but just because I want to go to sleep and feel refreshed.
It's the sunnah as well. Sleeping after Isha. I know that's not possible for everybody, but it's again, we're going back to our deen. Yeah, we were already told that. Do you know what I mean? Sleep
Yeah.
early and wake up early, subhanallah.
SubhanAllah. So it's one of those things too, where some people are like, okay, well, what are people going to think of me? Like, what are they going to say? Or maybe they're going to judge me for this. But the most
You're
elite
boring. Ah,
people,
you're so boring. Like you're eating healthy and you're not, you know.
I'm
Yeah,
boring.
I'm
I'm a
boring.
very, very boring person.
I like I put a social media post once on Facebook, right? And I like to put myself into trouble. I don't know why I do this, but anyway, I put a social media post once and I said, um, I don't like biryani. I don't like crispy in a sandwich. I don't like jalebi. Do you know what jalebi is?
No,
It's
I'm
the
not.
it's an I think it's an Asian sweet thing. Flour is. fried in oil and stuff. It's very sweet. It's not my thing. Some people love it, right? I don't like all of these things. And the comments that I got is like, you don't know what you're missing out on. I'm like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, why is choosing to eat healthier and choosing to eat that you actually, I don't eat these things because I'm trying to lose weight or because they're unhealthy. I just don't like the taste of them.
Right.
Simple. Do you know what I mean? Why? Because I am not choosing to eat them, then suddenly I'm weird. I'm the odd one out. I'm missing out. Why am I missing out on?
And it's not about you either. It's
It's
because they want you to enjoy something that they feel
yeah.
that they may not be able to control themselves around. They want to feel like they're not the only person that has like a certain
Yeah.
difficulty.
And
Um,
now we've gotten to a stage where you have to defend your choices of
yeah.
eating healthier. Like, when did this happen? Why do I have to defend my choices of having more greens, more protein, walking, sleeping early? I have to defend that.
Mhm.
But the opposite is the norm.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case.
Oh,
This should be the norm. The other one should be the exception. Do you know what I mean? I should sleep earlier, more days in the week compared to the days I sleep later. I should eat more healthier stuff, the greens, the protein, compared to the ultra processed stuff that I consume. That should be the norm.
absolutely. 100%. 100%. And you know, I'm thinking of like three other things, and then I'm also thinking we have to keep going. We have to keep going. This is why I said to you before, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure that we keep going because again, this could be a 5-hour episode. We could
Oh,
chat for
Adipti, you know it. All right. Take us to the fourth one because I know you love this one. And this is the one that spoke about.
okay, so everyone, this is literally the reason why we had to re-record this. This was gonna come out last week. But then she started talking, she's like, Keandra, we can't record. I was like, we can't release it. I was like, what? What happened? And she's like, I found this study. And anywho,
And then I sent her like so many studies
yeah.
to support what I was saying because I was up until 1 in the morning. I was like, no, we cannot release that episode. It's got a tiny misinformation in there.
And you know, subhanAllah, it's yeah, it's crazy. But I spent hours and hours until my brain hurt reading about this and all the articles that you sent me. But alhamdulillah, it's that lifting weights will make women bulky. So I want to start off this point because this is something that I hold very dear to me as someone who has lifted weights for over a decade now, and who has competed at the highest levels. Um, this is probably like one of the biggest complaints and the biggest things that I feel holds a lot of women back from actually lifting weights, from actually doing something that is so incredibly beneficial.
Yeah.
Again, it could be its own episode in and of itself, like why women should be strength training and not why some women can strength train. No, why this should be something that you do consistently. Um, but it comes down to the underlying idea again. What I want to highlight is what exactly do they mean by bulky? What exactly are we talking about? And if you think of like bodybuilding competitions, okay, I'm not somebody I don't expose I don't I think you and I are very similar in things like this. Like I don't do before and after pictures. I don't, use women's bodies to talk, even if they are not Muslim and they don't wear hijab, like I'm still not going to post them on my story and, highlight certain things about them. But if you look at bodybuilders, okay, or female bodybuilders, they have this look of I don't want to say excessive, but a large amount of muscle mass that makes them look, again, quote unquote, masculine. I say quote unquote because I don't believe that.
Everybody's their own preferences, right? That
Yes, everyone has
definition.
their own preferences. Everyone, I'm not going to say what makes you look masculine or feminine or whatever in terms of like your body and your body composition. But it's this idea of having excessive muscle mass, along with, honestly, to be quite frank, outside of the realm of bodybuilding, but excessive fat as well, because that also is going to make it look more pronounced as well. But people have this idea that if women touch a weight, they're going to end up like Arnold Schwarzenegger the next day.
Look at a weight. Like, don't
She's
even
going to
like.
look like the She-Hulk, the next day. And this is where, again, marketing comes into play with this. Toning exercises. Don't look too bulky. This toned arms in 10-minute toned arms, you know? So now, again, I'm going to say this is foremost. This is what I used to say as well until we learned about these studies and we read more about it, is that women naturally have less testosterone than men, and that is the reason why they don't build as much muscle, which is not entirely true. It's not entirely true. So yes, it's true that women don't have as much testosterone than men, and this is the testosterone is the hormone that allows men to be able to put on muscle mass. However, women do have estrogen, and our estrogen is what helps us to put on muscle mass.
And
Alhamdulillah.
some other hormones as well, right?
Yes.
IGF-1 and all of that stuff. Yeah.
No, of course. Now, there is evidence that shows that women and men can put on the same amount of muscle. Like they can put on the same amount of muscle as their counterparts. However,
But
with that,
that's what surprised us, right? Because
that's
I thought that's what really surprised us, right?
and that is what surprised us. It surprised me. I had no idea. I thought up until last week that I would never be able to put on, or I could not put on the same amount of muscle mass as men. However, the biggest
Yeah.
differentiating
Yeah.
point
That's
that
a word. We'll take that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do it. Here we go. I'm making my own words. It's okay. It's I was not an English major. Is that our starting point, right?
Mhm.
Women are smaller than men. We have less muscle mass. We have more fat mass to begin with than men do, and that's natural. And that is for we can come up with a lot of scientific reasons and stuff like this, but that's just how Allah has designed us. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So our since our starting point is I say lower than what men's is, we're not going to be able to put on the amount of mass in the same amount of time as fast as men do to achieve that quote unquote bulky
Yeah.
look. So what are your those are kind of my pre
Yeah. And again, just onto that point, it's not because we can't do it. We can, but we have other things happening in life that impact our training capacity for us to be able to build it at that rate. Example, menstrual cycle, right? We know for some of us, I know for myself, after I ovulate the last 2 weeks, my luteal phase, I am a lot weaker. My training isn't a great. I need to deload a lot more and things like this. So as women, while we still have the capacity and the potential, let's just put it that we have the potential because the science shows this. We have the potential to build as much muscle mass as men, but other things are happening to us physiologically that can limit our ability to do that. Does that make sense? So if we want to build as much muscle as man, we have to tend to train a lot more and do all these other extra stuff
Mhm.
for us to get there. So the short story is this. If you're someone like me and Kendra, I mean, not even Kendra, because Kendra's training, mashallah, a heck of a lot than me. So if you're someone like me, who's a busy mom and who's training 3 times a week, an hour each session and stuff like that, you're not gonna end up looking like a dude. Come on. Like I've been training for 20 years. I would love to have a lot more. Like I was talking to Kenna the other day. I'm like, these quads are taking forever to grow. It's like, you know what I mean? Because it is harder because where our training is interrupted with life and all of and hormones and all of these things happening, right? So even if we can build as much muscle mass, chances are we're not going to do that, and we're not going to end up looking the way that we don't want to look anyway. And again, ladies, don't let how you're potentially, I say potentially because you're potentially going to look, stop you from building the thing that is actually crucial for your metabolic health.
Yes, no, yes, absolutely. And I just want to also, double down on what you were saying, like lifting 3 times a week for an hour at a very intense hour is not enough to get bulky. 4 times a week, probably not even enough to get bulky. I have lifted, and when I was in high school, I used to lift with a football team. Okay, if you've ever, with the men, okay, if you've ever been an athlete, if you've ever seen the way that football men lift weights, First of all, it's insane. You feel like you're going to war every time, okay? Just the environment of it. And you're lifting for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I'm not talking like little baby weights. Like these are men who are full grown men, okay? Who are lifting 3 times their body weight on their back. So I always make this joke of, oh, I'm not gonna make you put 200 kgs on your back and squat it. No, because I've literally seen that happen. I've seen men
Yeah.
put 200 kgs on their back and squat that for multiple reps. Even when I was lifting like that 5 times a week, I still did not look bulky.
Yeah.
I look, alhamdulillah, I look good, alhamdulillah, but I did not look like a man. And that's, also comes down to the nutrition part. My nutrition definitely was not dialed in at the time. If it was, maybe I could have, if I was eating like 250 grams of protein a day, maybe I could have put on some more mass and I was in a surplus of calories, but I wasn't. I was at maintenance at that time. Maybe I could have put on a bit more, but I definitely would have put on some more fat too, because we're predisposed to that as well. I probably would have put on some more fat, but I definitely, for years and years and years, I did that, and I didn't
Yeah.
end up looking
Absolutely.
like a man.
Yeah.
But
And also remember, it's not just the training, it's the protein, it's the nutrition to complement that and all of these things, right? So your muscle mass is the metabolic engine of the body. It is, especially as you're aging. I'm 43, alhamdulillah. I've hit a perimenopause. Actually, I started a perimenopause when I was 38. So I started mine super early. And as we're getting older, as estrogen drops, we start to have metabolic challenges. Do you know what I mean? This is why a lot of women who hit menopause, they start to end up getting diagnosed with things like diabetes and all of these things, right? Why? It's because now the hormones are shifting, more visceral fat around the organs, that causes insulin resistance. Do you know what I mean? And all of these things. So muscle mass can protect you from all of that. It can help you maintain your strength so you can prevent things like sarcopenia, which is the loss of mass and function as you get older, dynapenia, which is the loss of strength as you get older, and all of these things.
yeah,
So don't be afraid of lifting weights because of potentially how you're going to look. Think about, why do I want to do it? Having muscle isn't just for bodybuilders. It is crucial for a healthier quality of life as we're aging, right?
100%. And I love that you said quality of life because having sufficient muscle mass
Yeah,
can be the difference between you being able to make sujood in your 60s and 70s.
absolutely,
Difference
absolutely.
between you being able to open a jar, between you being able to go to the bathroom on your own and living independently. And then forget just the mobility of actually cleaning yourself and taking care of yourself and all of these things, right? A lot of us find it hard. I always find it hard. I'm like, my balance is pretty good. Every time I'm in the shower, I'm like cleaning my feet. I'm like, I can stand on one foot and like clean my feet. I'm like, this is good that I work on this. But it really is like it can make or break the quality of life that you have. And as a revert, alhamdulillah, like I think that one of the most beautiful things that Allah has blessed us with is sujood.
Oh,
I'm
subhanallah.
going to do absolutely everything in my power to be able to continue to make sujood for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And it pains me, it pains me, it pains me to see this what a dear friend of mine, Bill Keys, has called a chair epidemic
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
masjid. We have these
yeah.
rows and rows of chairs, and I'm not talking about grandmothers. I'm talking about women in their 30s and 40s who need chairs to pray. And that kind of scene, it just breaks my heart. And I'll never forget this one sister that I saw in a masjid. And I would see her routinely, and subhanAllah, it was just so painful for her to make sujood. And she could barely make sujood, and she tried so hard. And she had to bring the chair next to her to push back up from it. And it just pained me until a day where I kept going to the same masjid, to a day where she wasn't able to do it anymore. And I think about her a lot, and may Allah make it easy for her. And
Ameen, ya Rab. May
may
Allah make it
Allah.
easy for everybody. And here's the thing, like and I talk about this a lot, and you and I talk about this a lot as well, whether in health, whether in business, is like we cannot control the outcome. Sah?
Mhm.
Like you can be the healthiest person in the world, but end up with a disease anyway. And you can be the unhealthiest person in the world, but Allah may protect you from that. But that's not the point.
Mm.
The point is, am I going to live my life in a way that Allah commanded me? to live it. We leave the outcome to him. He asked me to look after my health. I need to do it. He asked me to look after my body. I'm going to do it. He asked me to look after my mind. I'm going to, not because I'm looking after my health because I want to be a size zero, right?
Oh,
Not because I'm looking after my mind because of this, right? So what if we saw health as a true amana and internalize that? Because a lot of us, we say this, health is amana, a body is amana, but how many of us actually internalize that? Because
mm,
when you have the deeper reasons why, that scale is not going to matter. The fact that you can't do sujood is going to matter
yep.
because that's what's impacting your worship of Allah. Do you know what I mean? So I think that change in perspective around, again, why do I want to build muscle? Why do I want to eat healthier? Why do I want to be strong? So that I can fulfill the commandments that Allah has put upon me.
100%. And I think also, I mean, again, perspective is everything. The way that we think about things. If you're obsessed with being a size zero, like you get to a size zero and then what?
Then what?
You know?
That the hedonic happiness is gonna go away, by the way. And
Yeah,
then the next day you're gonna look for something else to make you happy because it
exactly.
wasn't about your size to begin with, right?
Exactly. No, absolutely. And also, I don't remember the last time I was a size zero. Probably when I was like 12 or something like
I
that.
was a size zero. I got married. I'm I was really thin, right? I got married really thin, and I'm telling you what, I was so weak,
Mm,
Kendra. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? So for me, it's like no. So we need to also stop judging health by the size of a person. I know heavier people in heavier bodies who are way stronger, way healthier than people who are in a smaller body. Again, perspective. Do you know what I mean?
It's everything. And just go and Google if you're listening to this, just go and Google or just watch the Olympics. The next Olympics that are going to happen, I think, what 2020, I think it'll be in 2026, I think. Anyways, go and watch the next Olympics and just look at the variety of body shapes among Olympians, not just
Yeah.
athletes, Olympians. Okay? Go and research a long distance runner and then or a marathoner and then compare to a shot putter or a
Mm,
discus.
a
Or then
sprinter
go
and
look
all
at a
of that.
sprinter and look at a
Yeah.
sprinter. Very different, you know? And alhamdulillah, basketball, I think a lot of team sports are some, sports where there's every position, different body types, everyone. So it just goes to show what I'm trying to get at with this is it just goes to show how you can be very, very elite in a different body. You could be just as strong, just as capable in a different body. And the size zero doesn't. And a lot of times, like at a size zero, you might have a lot of body fat.
I did.
You don't know, you
I
know?
did. Yeah, my body composition was totally different when I was that size compared to now being heavier. I'm almost 10 kilos heavier than I was then, right? But totally different body composition because it's not about the weight. It's not about, it's like, what is your body? What is the composition of your body?
Yeah.
Muscle mass versus fat mass. We're going back to building lean muscle mass, right? The importance of that.
No, alhamdulillah, 100%. Okay, before we keep chatting.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, I'm really
Grandma.
rushing. I'm sorry that this is, I hope that if you're still listening to this, it's because you enjoy us yapping.
Oh
So
my goodness.
alhamdulillah,
Alhamdulillah.
I'm happy that you're still here and listening to us talk about 1,001 things.
Okay.
Inshallah, go ahead.
So this next one, let me have this next one because again, this is another thing that is very much.
You feel
Um,
attacked by this one, I know.
I feel a lot about this one, right? So breakfast is the most important meal of the day, people. I used to tell people when I started this out over 10 years ago, it's like your you have to have breakfast because it's what starts off your metabolism. I was like, God, now when I remember, it's like, oh my God, what was I doing? But here's the thing. Breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. And that is not my opinion. That is not Kendra's opinion. That's just science. Studies, again, randomized control trials, which is the highest quality other than systematic reviews and meta-analysis, which is a whole different conversation. They have looked at people who front load their calories, which means they have more of their calories towards the beginning of the day. So your breakfast and lunch and stuff like that, compared to people who backloaded their calories. So people who consume their calories to more of their calories towards the end of the day, like myself. And Kendra, I think you too as well. You may,
Yeah, I do the same thing.
yeah, right. And they compared how much, if they compared if there's a difference in the amount of weight they can lose. And guess what? It didn't matter whether you front load your calories or backload your calories. As long as you're in a deficit, it doesn't matter. So what matters? Number one, what do you prefer?
Mhm.
Number two, what are your goals? If you're someone who wants to build muscle mass, chances are you have to consume a lot more protein. And if you're going to consume, it's going to be harder to consume all your protein towards the end of the day because protein is satiating and stuff like that. So that could make things challenging. The third thing is if by skipping breakfast, you end up snacking on junk food through the day, then maybe have breakfast, right? So again, the advice needs to be individualized. It can't be a generic advice. You have to have breakfast. Like, I don't get hungry in the morning. On weekdays, I don't have breakfast. I have tea and khalas, and that's it. Because I'm with the kids, homeschooling, busy. So I like to have majority of my meals at dinner because that's when I'm relaxing with my husband and the kids. We all eat together as a family. Other people, they wake up hungry. Some of my clients, they wake up hungry. So the majority of their calories are towards the beginning of the day, and that works for them. So super important to know what works for you, what you can stick with. Here's what I say. There's no best diet. The best diet is a diet you can stick with on a bad day.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And here's the thing, not every day has to be the same as well. Because while I say I don't have breakfast, I have breakfast on the weekends, right? Because again, we're sitting as a family and we're eating. So every day doesn't have to look the same either. It can be different for a person day to day. Right? Again, we're going back to the idea around adaptability and flexibility and knowing how to go with the waves of life, right?
No, 100%. And it's also, again, this is the propaganda or whatever you want to call it that's being put out there is that, oh no, demonize breakfast. Breakfast is bad, or breakfast is good, or lunch is bad, or eating after 6 p.m. Magically, every calorie is tenfold. So if you actually have like an apple, it's actually 1,000 calories. You know, so we're thinking that when you consume food actually matters, when in fact it doesn't. It's really in terms of your goals and in terms of you want to say your weight and stuff like this. It's what are your habits like over an extended amount of time? Not what are
Yeah.
your habits like on a Monday, but
Yeah.
what are your habits like on a Thursday? But it's what are your habits like over an extended amount of time? And that's what I want people, inshallah, to really understand. And again, it doesn't need to be the same thing. If you wake up, the other day, I woke up so hungry for
Yeah.
whatever reason. It doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen to me very often. But I had a full like big breakfast.
Yeah.
And I typically don't. I usually have like a protein shake and a banana or something like
Yeah.
that. And then I'll have like a small lunch and I'll have a big dinner. But adaptability as well and understanding your body and listening to your body in that sense, right? To know, what it needs and what's actually going to help it
Yeah.
excel with everything you're throwing at it
Yeah.
through the day.
And also, as women, some of us get hungrier towards the last 2 weeks of our cycle,
Yes.
right? Because estrogen drops. Estrogen is one of the hormones that helps us regulate our appetite towards the second half of our cycle, right? Estrogen reduces or progesterone is higher. Our appetite can be upregulated. So some people may feel hungrier. So again, it's this understanding of, okay, what is happening today? What does my body feel like today? What is it telling me today? Right? And going with that as opposed to having these blanket rules like I should not have breakfast or I have to have breakfast even when I'm not hungry. That's not really helpful.
No, 100%. So it really is whatever you can stick with. And again, why are we eating a certain way? And again, like you mentioned this before, but I wanted to double down on it because this was me before I really figured out my mindset, before I adjusted my habits and stuff like that. And also from an education perspective too, it's like, I wanted to lose weight. So I'm going to restrict, restrict, restrict all day. And then, oh my gosh, I can't do it anymore. I'm starving. I'm thinking about everything. So I'm just going to eat everything in sight, have about 2,000 calories in one sitting. And then in the morning, I'm going to wake up and feel guilty. So because I feel guilty, I'm not going to eat. What that
Mm.
does, it's going to put you in the same cycle every day. And it did that for me. It put me in the same cycle every day. And I gained another 15 pounds after that,
Yeah.
anyways, because of this cycle, right?
Yeah.
So are you not eating in the morning because you genuinely just like don't feel like it? Or is it because you're punishing yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's the second one, then maybe we need to relook at that strategy and see how well it's looking, how well it's working for you, and what would actually be a better strategy to help you with long-term results.
Yeah, I love that. That is beautiful. And I think it's a beautiful point to end on. Otherwise,
Yes, or else we could keep chatting, and we probably will keep chatting off air. So.
Jazakallah so much for this amazing episode, Kendra. It was lovely talking to you, inshallah. Those of you who are listening or watching, inshallah, you've got something out of this. We would love to know what your thoughts are, what your takeaways are, if it's helped you, right? And if you have any other topics that you want Kendra and I to kind of talk about and dig deep into, we would love to do that, inshallah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and salaam alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.